Bill Fisher hails from Wisconsin Rapids. His 1978 3/4-ton Chevy was nearly 10 years in the making.
This was an old wood hauler. Got picked to be the truck for me. From there, we just started cutting and welding and doing a little every year, and pretty much a basic Vortec motor with a carburetor on there. Shortened the body, got it low center of gravity as possible. Pretty much stock suspension in the front of it. Put a Panhard bar in there just for a little extra durability. The shocks in the rear, bought them at auction, rebuilt them, put them in. We got 2.5-ton dump truck U-joints on it with 1/4-inch wall drive shaft, so if we hit a rock, that we got one less thing to worry about. Hopefully it just goes up and over it. Got some bigger Heim joints in the front. You name it, we've had our hands in it for sure. Great that I'm here. It's unbelievable because since I was a little kid, I've been working on that thing and got a lot of time in it and a lot of ideas that hopefully will help me out in this competition.
It's 9.7. I said, I apologize for cutting it up. And this one up here, I drilled them out and put
it fell off somewhere. Okay.
Do you recognize that beautiful 1975 Blazer? You should. It was featured in the November 2002 issue of Four Wheeler magazine.
My name is Toby Harrell. I'm from San Angelo, Texas. My truck is a 1975 Chevy Blazer. It's got 1-ton running gear in it, 513 gears, beefed up axles. It's got ARB in the front, a Detroit locker in the rear. It's got line locks with the turning brakes. Front wheel drive only, whatever I want. It's got a big block Chevrolet in it, bored 30 over with some nitrous, velocity stack, fuel injected poly, 900 CFM. It's pretty much stock. It's a privilege to be here, I think. This is my second year. I was an alternate last year, but it's a lot better being here, sitting here talking to you. I didn't get to talk to you last year.
Okay. So I look at 130 amp alternator.
The 72 Jimmy didn't come with enough horses to satisfy Kurt Bouldin. His solution? Install a 502 cubic inch Ramjet V8.
Kurt Bouldin from Noblesville, Indiana. It's a 72 GMC Jimmy. It's running all 1-ton running gear, Dana 60s in front, air lockers, 513s, corporate 14 bolt in the rear. Its transmission is a Cohen Turbo 400. I put a 502 Ramjet in it. It's got an external roll cage as well as an internal. The exterior cage basically is designed to keep the doors from getting all bashed in. We try to keep it as good looking as we can for as long as we can. Doesn't always work. We stepped up to the 44s. I've cut the rear tires and I've siped all 4 tires. Helps us on the muddy terrain. Actually keeps us from sliding sideways so bad. 15,000 pound Warn winches front and rear. We break parts. The truck weighs about 15,000 pounds. It's not going to be a rock crawling buggy, but we've got spare everything. I carry welders, drive shafts, axles, bolts, nuts. It basically has everything, air tools. It has everything that we need basically to get us back home.
A lot of body damage.
Patrick Weems drove from Royal Palm Beach, Florida to Hollister, California, a 3,000-mile trip to participate in Top Truck Challenge.
It started out as a 72 Chevy Blazer. After some excessive body damage, we decided to try another body on it, give it a facelift, and this was probably 4 years ago. We went with the 85 S10, extended cab, shortened it 2 feet, and after some more body damage, we had to upgrade it, new facelift, and went with the 2001. The running gear's 1 ton. It's got a Dana 60 front, 35 spline stubs, corporate 14 bolt rear with a Detroit, custom built Turbo 350 tranny, 205 transfer case, full hydraulic steering, full roller 383, stroker motor. Just trying to keep it streetable, nothing extreme, but yet be capable of extreme duty. The interior is kept pretty stock, just so my wife can still drive to the grocery store. I would say I'm probably more of an aggressive driver. Unfortunately, heavier on the foot. Not to say that we're out of control, but believe in horsepower, momentum, will carry you. I don't mind being an underdog, smaller tires, whatever. I've driven this far, not afraid of the gas pedal, not afraid to beat it up.
To start with, he just wanted to replace an old rusty frame. When TJ Florence was finished, he ended up with a complete rebuild of his Jeep.
My name's TJ Florence from Hooksett, New Hampshire. I got a 1976 CJ7 Dynatrac reverse rotation 60 in the front, 488 gears with a spool. It goes back to a 400 turbo with an Atlas II. It's got a small block 350 injected, hull fuel injection. Over the course of a winter, we put it together in about 3 months from start to finish. The one thing it doesn't do real well, it doesn't flex. It wasn't built to do good on an RTI ramp. The type of terrain we have back on the East Coast, it's uphill, rock, mud, roots, stumps. I think it'll do real well, other than the rocks is the only thing that's going to be real new to it. I think all the preparation we've done to the Jeep to come here was basically for the tank trap. We didn't really have to do any alterations to the Jeep for anything else other than. Heard the water's real deep, and we got breather hoses up over my head now, so we're ready for it.
Warren Cryer's articulator is actually a 1951 Dodge M37, complete with military markings and an Army-issue canteen for the driver.
Hi, my name's Warren Cryer from Poinette, Wisconsin. My truck is a 1951 M37. It was all custom hand fabricated by myself. I used Dana 60 front end with 35.5" outers with a turbo 400 automatic transmission with a SM 465 4-speed behind it with a 221 Rockwell. Small block 400 Chevrolet that's D-stroke to a 3480 stroke, which makes it a 377 cubic inch. I built it for just something that was versatile, that I can jump in and go run around on the trails and the logging trails and stuff. And I also have it so you can hydraulically control it, where you can leave it float so it looks like you're pulling a trailer, or it can be manually, you can twist it and lift the wheel up all over a rock, for instance, or a log to help it get over. It drives very nice on the road, and it's fun to drive, it's comfortable, it's just a all-around rig, basically, is what I built it for. Yeah, it's been bugging me a little bit all week here. Just I'm not keen on smashing the body all up because they're hard to find. But as far as mechanical wise, I have no doubt that it'll make it through it if I drive it right.
I brought it back in. The reason why I didn't go with the body.
Terry DeLoup designed his own suspension. And if you look closely enough at this truck, you'll find it's as much Caterpillar as it is Willys.
My name's Terry DeLoup from Morgan Hill, California. I got the wacky Willys. It started out as a Willys body and got some Dana 60 axle and a 14-bolt. Got an Atlas II in it with a 4-to-1 kit. All heavy splines coming into the Atlas. 513 gears with Detroit's front and rear. And I came up with my own design on the suspension with a hinge setup in there with coils and airbags to help level and stabilization. Run a little 350 Chevy fuel injected. Radiators in the back, water's piped down the frame rails of the vehicle to the back with electric fans back there. Louvered back panels to let the air out. Now you're going to ask about the color. Yes, it's Caterpillar yellow. Half the bolts in the Jeep are made out of from Caterpillar. They're stamped with Caterpillar on them. The ignition switch is a Caterpillar key. Been through all this, any kind of thing that this event takes across here. I mean, I haven't done an interview, I'll tell you that.
Don Henry has never competed in Top Truck Challenge, but his propane fuel system has. It was on Corey Dean's rig in 2002.
My name's Don Henry. I'm from Langley, British Columbia, Canada. I drive a 1985 GMC 3500 one-ton. Kept the 454. I warmed it over. Got 10.5 to 1 compression. About 450 horse. Goes into a 4-speed transmission with a center force dual friction clutch. And then that goes into dual NP205 transfer cases. running 1410 drive shafts, Unimog axles, 20-inch beadlocks, 49-inch Michelin tires. Each corner weighs in at about 350 pounds for tire and rim, so it keeps me rubber side down most of the time. I run a Bouldin 8,000-pound PTO winch. The winch drive shaft runs off the front of my front NP205 transfer case. There's no internal roll cage. I always planned on having an exo cage. I like my rigs to look decent. I like to be able to drive on the street. So the exo cage, it allows me to scrape up against objects and that and not totally damage my sheet metal. A little bit of a long drive from our igloos in Canada, but we fought off the snow and made it down, eh?
And I just laid down the metal in the bar and started going. I thought about that. I just haven't got around to that.
He simply calls it the Beast. Paul Foster took 3 years to build it. It's 100% homemade, including its chain-driven propeller.
My name is Paul Richard Foster Sr. I'm from Orangeville, California. I drive a 2000 Beast homemade vehicle. It's got a Chevrolet 2.5 liter cubic inch motor out of a Chevy S10. SM420 Granny 4-speed out of a old Chevy delivery van. Model 18 transfer case with a power takeoff drive that drives the 10-inch crisscross prop. I just come up with the idea about 4 years ago. Laid the frame out on the floor of 2-inch square stock tubing and started welding up. Put 4-wheel steering in it, and I've always wanted to make an amphibious type vehicle. So I made sure and sealed the bottom, run the drive shafts through boots, sealed the steering. It's like a big bathtub with wheels on it. It floats at about 3.5 feet, starts floating. So it can take unlimited depth of water, it don't matter how deep it is. It's got boat seats in there. Simple, pop right out with the 4 pins. The seats come out so you can get through the bottom to work on all the guts inside. It's got a snow plow windshield wiper on it with a double arm, so it's just because it's got a window about this wide. It's got a heater, defroster, 100% street legal. Took it to the cops, they stamped their little frame number on it, and I was just given you're the only vehicle here that has 100% street legal, perfect vehicle, so that was kind of nice.
Speechless, I'm speechless.
This was a 73 Blazer once upon a time. Chris Bowen says it's not pretty because he invested all his money underneath it.
My truck is a 73 Blazer, thrash Blazer. I call it the beater. It's got a 350 Chevy, 465 tranny, 205 transfer case. Front axle is a Dana 60 with 456 gears, Lincoln locker, 35 spline outers. Rear axle is a Dynatrac Dana 60. Front suspension is kind of a mix of different things I kind of put together, and it seems to flex all right. Rear suspension is the stock springs moved about 5 inches inward, and it's got a pivoting front mount and like a drop arm in the rear, and they flex really good. I mean, I know what my truck can take, and last weekend I was just at the Hammers and I beat the crap out of it, and nothing really broke. So I'm gonna beat it a little harder this week.
The engineering competition is your chance to tell why you did what you did and hope that the judges were impressed. The next segment turned into an unabashed fashion show, won hands down by Kurt Bouldin's beautiful 72 GMC. The road through Hollister Hills is a twisting, rutted stretch of concrete that makes a perfect test for streetability. And speaking of streetability, the California Highway Patrol found not a single infraction from Paul Foster's Beast. So the points competition was well underway.